How do you counter a low settlement offer from an insurance adjuster in your personal injury case? In this video, I'm going to explain first how you properly set up for a low ball offer with your initial demand to the insurance adjuster, and both how that number sets the stage for how you're going to respond to a low ball counter offer, and the facts that you're going to discuss in making that initial demand to go ahead and have yourself prepared for your response to what you can inevitably understand is going to be an initial low ball offer back from the insurance company. And then we're going to talk about exactly how to counter that initial low ball offer from the insurance company. And in this scenario, it's typically a counter offer. You have made the initial demand, they're counter offering, and they're way, way, way too low. How do you respond to it? Before we dive into it, let me introduce myself. I'm Ted Spalding. I am an Atlanta personal injury trial attorney. I've been practicing for over 20 years, helping folks in Georgia and throughout the country in personal injury cases. And I have created this channel because I'm trying to impart some of my 20 plus years of experience in this industry to help people become more informed. I believe being more informed, number one, will make you a better personal injury client for a lawyer if you end up needing to hire one. And two, if you don't need to hire an attorney, to be a better claimant to handle your case. And that's exactly what this video is on, is when you're trying to handle it on your own, and how are you going to negotiate with this adjuster? It can be daunting, especially if it's the first time you've done it. So let's dive right in. First, how do you set this up to be prepared to respond to your low ball offer? This is the first and most important point. You want to be the one making the initial demand, and that demand is going ahead and priming that adjuster for what your response is going to be to what you're assuming, and you should assume it's going to be a low ball offer to start. And I'll discuss that in a second as well, so you know what I'm talking about. So what do? Well, you want to make a written demand. Now, it can be an email, or you can do an official written demand typed up. And what you want to do in that demand is you want to start with a generous first offer. And I mean generous on your side, not on the adjuster side. You never, in negotiating, in my opinion, want to start with your bottom line number. Because at that point, you're basically saying take it or leave it. And therefore, you better be saying that if that's what you're doing, right? If your bottom line number is $25,000, and that's where you're going to make your written demand, because see, these adjusters are thinking this is the start of negotiations. You better say $25,000, take it or leave it. I don't want a response countering below it. I will not entertain it. It is either this number or I'm filing a lawsuit. Okay. Why do that? Okay. You want to give negotiation a chance. If 25 is your bottom, you want to start well above it, because again, the concept here is you're going to start high. Insurance company is going to start low with that initial low ball offer. They're going to come up. You're going to come down. And the theory is, as they're coming up, you're coming down, you're going to meet somewhere in the middle, right? Meaning what you can accept and what they can accept in paying. So you don't want to start at the bottom. So that's how you're starting it, with the correct initial number. So I always tell people you want to start medium high on the value of your case. Now, again, what is the value of your case? I've got other videos on how to try to figure that out, but that's where attorneys are the best to tell you what your specific case may be worth and what is a medium high number versus a way too high number, too low number. But do your best, come up with what you're comfortable with and way above your bottom line number. And then what facts? You're going to want to set out in this writing some of these facts that, in my opinion, not just the good ones for you. Hey, it's a big wreck. look at my injuries. I've got X in medical costs. I treat it for these many months or years. Yeah, that's all great. But what you really want to do, if you're going to really be a good negotiator, is go ahead and hit the points you know the adjuster is going to be raising as their biggest points in making this lowball offer. Now, what is that typically? A couple of different things, and again, it depends on the facts of your case. If you've got minimal damage to your vehicle, they're going to bring that up. So go ahead and speak to that. Why do you have minimum damage to your vehicle or visible damage, but yet you were that injured? There's a reason. Explain it to them. Number two, were there gaps in treatment? They love gaps in treatment, and everything's a gap in treatment, right? If you didn't go immediately to the emergency room, gap in treatment. You want to explain that. Hey, it's normal to not go immediately from the scene when you're not dying and don't have something broken, to wait a couple of days or even a week. Okay, that's not unheard of. They're going to tell you that's the worst thing in the world. Go ahead and hit them on it. Okay, so you're thinking of all these different things that the adjuster in your case is going to say is a good fact for them to justify their lowball offer. And you want to go ahead and set that up and say, look, we understand your position may be that this is a low impact wreck, but here's why that is not going to be an issue in my case. Maybe you had invisible damage, meaning it wasn't visible on the outside, but you had structural damage. You want to raise that. Hey, I know the pictures don't look like it was a big wreck, but don't forget, I had frame damage to my vehicle, which shows this was a big impact. Or if it is a low impact and there's no way around it, own it. Hey, people get hurt in low impact wrecks all the time. The adjusters know that. They're not going to tell you that. So you want to hit them with that. Again, it's just like with the number. You're priming your argument that you're going to make with that low ball offer back, because even though you're mentioning that in your initial letter, guess what? They're still going to raise it. Yes, ma'am. You've offered $50,000. We're coming back at $5,000 because it's a low impact. You didn't treat for 5 days. Blah, 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 blah. Now you've already said it once and you're going to then do it again. And we'll get into that here in a second. So why do I say expect the low ball offer? Well, low ball offers, it's almost automatic with these adjusters. The first offer is going to be low. And it can be, I've seen anything from their typical MO is they come in right at your medical costs or below your medical costs as their first offer. Every once in a while, you'll get above medical costs as a first offer. Still not going to be fantastic, but it'll at least be better than normal. But 9 times out of 10, it's going to be your medical costs only or a fraction of your medical costs as that initial lowball offer. Happens all the time with us lawyers being involved. So yes, you want to be prepared. You're going to get a lowball offer to start. So be ready. All right. Now, how do you actually formulate your response to this lowball offer? Well, there's a couple of ways to do it, but quite frankly, I tell people, because this is a strategy I use, is I move after the first offer, depending on where they move. You're going to reward them if they don't do just a medical cost or half the medical cost initial offer, to incentivize them to hopefully continue to move in big steps, right? So they are moving closer to you. They oftentimes then will slow down, but then you can slow down in your next offer in countering. So that's number one. I typically do that. And again, you want to hit them back on any of the things that they're going to raise, because they're going to, oh, it was low impact. Oh, you had gaps in treatment. You didn't treat for very long. Your bills are low. These sorts of things. You want to have all of those things ready to go because, one, you've probably already mentioned it at the beginning. And number two, you can hit them back with it when you come back with a counteroffer. And then the typical, you don't want to make massive moves. If 25, for instance, is your bottom number that you would take, and let's say you started at 50, you don't want to go from 50 to 28. You don't have much more room left to negotiate. You want to assume this is going to take several back and forths. So you want to give yourself room as you're coming down. And again, it gives you the ability to incentivize them when they make bigger moves and that sort of thing. But then as they go, if they go up $2,000, you come down $2,000. That's typically a good methodology, at least initially, and see how that goes. Okay. They might come up $10,000. Well, then you can respond with the $10,000. You can go $5,000. You can make those decisions. But again, that's why that initial offer is so important. You got to have enough room to be able to negotiate, to kind of put on the gas and put on the brake, right? You might do a big move on your first counteroffer, and then you're going to go slower the next time, or vice versa. You go slow at the beginning and then later a bigger move. Well, if you've already exhausted most of your gap between where you started and where you're wanting to end up, you don't have the ability to kind of throttle your responses as you go back and forth with the adjuster. So hopefully this helps you. Please, any questions, comments, please comment below to the video. Reach out to me. I'd be happy to discuss anything. We'd love to hear from you. And as always, thank you so much for watching my video.